change? Well, a new listing this morning, Equites Property Fund. We've been pronouncing it wrongly and we apologise for that. We were saying Equites. Equites listed on the JSE main board this morning, and company CEO Andrea Taverna-Turisan joins us to explain more about the company's decision. Well, Andrea, we've been butchering your name. We've been butchering the name of your company. So, we're trying to compensate for that by getting it exactly right. But before you tell us why you listed and how well it's gone, where does the name come from?
Well, the name is actually an elite Roman cavalry, and two of the vendor groups are of Italian origin. So there was a little bias, if you like, to a glorious part of Italian history.
And of course, it's from the Latin for horse, which is equus.
That's it.
Okay.
And hence,
Back
the
to
logo.
English?
Yeah, back to English.
Let's talk about your decision to list.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, like any listing, the primary reason to come to market is capital. It's afforded us, it's put us in a position, should I say, to be able to now operate in the property market, which is obviously a pretty cash-intensive industry, with tranquility. We've reduced our gearing down to sort of below 5%. We have a financial bond with Nedbank in place, which will effectively afford us to start trading in the market, both in developments and acquisitions, going forward, but in tranquility, without having to, have to go borrow, beg, and pillage wherever we could.
Tranquility is not a word we hear often in business. We usually hear the word challenging. So it is a challenging environment in some ways, but just give us a picture of the landscape of the company, what it does, how big it is, where it's been operating, what you specialise in.
Basically, it's three vendor groups that have effectively pooled all their properties into one pot. The vendor groups have specialised in the distribution warehousing segment of the industrial market. Now, we believe in that segment of the market. We believe that the darling of the property segment over the next 10 years, not only in South Africa but all over the world, will be this particular sort of microcosm of the property industry. It's a sector that probably didn't really exist 20 years ago, and it's a sector which is effectively expanding exponentially because of the way the world has changed. With just-in-time deliveries and with the internet, the world is changing, and our shopping habits are changing. And whilst historically people have been very bullish retail, we think that there's some challenging times ahead for that particular sector of the market, and we think to the benefit of the sector that we are operating in.
Your portfolio is strongly biased towards the Western Cape. Let's talk about future prospects for growth. How far are we extending that portfolio?
Well, at the moment it's 100% in the Western Cape, and that is a function of the three vendor groups basically, and the limited capital that they had, and the opportunities they had. So they unlocked what they had on their doorstep. The intention, obviously, being in the distribution warehousing segment of the market, I think it's critical to be in a greater Durban area. I mean, Durban is the 12th biggest port in the world, I believe. It is the logistics hub of South Africa, and let's say probably sub-Saharan Africa. So it's a critical place for us to be in, but however, we won't rush in and burn ourselves, because it is a difficult market. It's a very tightly held market, especially land is controlled by the Tongaat Hewlett Group. And then obviously Gauteng. Gauteng is the engine of Africa, and most things happen up here. The reason we haven't been here is because we had enough on our plate in Cape Town. Being a listed fund today, we have the opportunity now to look to these two markets. We think with the platform we've got in Cape Town, it doesn't mean we won't do anything in Cape Town. We are, if you want, in that particular segment of the market. The vendor groups are the leaders in that marketplace in Cape Town. And we'll look now to transfer those skills into these two markets.
It's interesting. I always think when two companies listed at the same time, it's like on your first day at school or university, who did you stand next to the first time? And you want to keep up with them through your...
Well,
you guys must keep in touch with PSG Consult. See how they do. They must see how you do. But they said they didn't want to raise capital. You said the main reason, of course, and most listings are raising capital. They said they were more into profile. Do you need a profile? Does the listing give you a profile that helps?
I believe it does. I believe we will be afforded opportunities that probably would have passed us by. Let's put it this way, we'd be afforded the opportunity to pitch for certain opportunities because of who we are and what we are. There is a credibility to being on the market, undoubtedly. And also coupled with that, because we have the pot of capital, we don't have to go post securing a tenant to the bank to try and secure the funding to actually undertake the development.
Before we forget that number, how much have you raised? How much will you raise?
Well, we've raised 650 million rand in the market. The vendors who have basically swapped in their properties and have taken effectively paper for their entire NAV. So the vendors still control 52% of the fund. So that's when I talk about tranquility.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry that one of our larger competitors would love to snap us up because the quality of our portfolio is unquestionable.
Andrea, congratulations on your listing. Congratulations on your win over England.
Yes, that's right. 2-1.
2-1.
2-1. Well
Big
done.
win. Hopefully Costa Rica don't surprise us.
Hopefully, we'll cross fingers for you. That's a big thank you to the Chief Executive of Equites Property Fund. That's Andrea Taverna-Turisan. Really trying hard not to butcher his name once again.